Get the unmissable news stories of the day.
This is the Beijing Hour.
Examining the events that impact and shape China and the rest of the world. This is the Beijing Hour, 1 hour of news and information brought to you every weekday. Now here's your host.
Shane Bigham with you on this Monday, July 20th, 2026. You're listening to the Beijing Hour, coming to you live from the Chinese capital. On today's program, the World Artificial Intelligence Conference in Shanghai has seen the release of numerous initiatives and cutting-edge tech. Mediators have offered new proposals to restart peace negotiations between Iran and the U.S. as the two sides continue to attack each other. The Chinese factories are becoming destinations for travelers as industrial tourism emerges as a popular option. In business, China's industrial output expands as companies adopt artificial intelligence. In sports, Spain takes the crown at a tense World Cup final. In culture and entertainment, a massive global opening in theaters for The Odyssey. Now the day's top stories. The World Artificial Intelligence Conference and high-level meeting on global AI governance in Shanghai concludes on Monday. The four-day event seen the release of many major initiatives and innovation outcomes, while frontier technologies and products have made global debuts. Zhao Yunfei has more.
We are here at the World Expo Exhibition Center. It's the largest exposition center. There are a lot of people over there. Now, certainly this is something that has gathered huge interest, including someone who is in this industry, interested in hopping on the fast-speed train of the development of AI for the regular guests. They are curious about what their future would be like. As you can see further down the aisle, our camera is zooming in at Mazu, the weather forecast system that can prevent disaster, extreme weather, and support disaster relief. And that is something that is China consider to implement and introduce this system to about 30 countries. And that is the concrete measure that China has been taken throughout this year's World Artificial Intelligence Conference. In addition to that, there are many other specific measures, including 5,000 personnel training opportunities in the further 5 years for the Global South country, and the establishment of the cooperation organizations across multiple platforms through the mechanism of China-ASEAN relationship, China-Arabic Union, Africa Union, as well as multimedia platforms like the Shanghai Cooperation Organization and BRICS cooperation. So this is something that China is pursuing to build the capacity of Global South country in artificial intelligence to avoid the gap in the emerging trend of intelligence.
That was Zhao Yunfei in Shanghai. Business leaders attending the World AI Conference have praised China's increasingly open AI ecosystem. They say it's helping drive innovation, expand collaboration, and create new opportunities for Chinese technology companies.
So we have about 8 startup companies that we're bringing here because China is like a speed train. So you can do many new things very quickly, which is quite effective and interesting. And finally, because the infrastructure is good and we have possibility to do a lot here in China.
We have very good collaboration with Alibaba, Tencent, and ByteDance. China is showing that they are leading in the world on AI topics. And also robotics is really moving fast in China. So all those things are making China really the right place to innovate on data and AI. And the place where the rest of the world can learn from what China is doing.
A Pew poll shows that China is outpacing the U.S. in favorability in most of the 36 countries surveyed. Nearly 200 AI startups are showcasing their innovations at the World Artificial Intelligence Conference, many founded by entrepreneurs in their 20s and 30s. As AI enters the next stage of commercialization, these young entrepreneurs are competing to bring the technology into the real world and build businesses that can stand the test of time. Li Yunqi reports.
Thousands of products, from humanoid robots to smart glasses, have filled up the exhibition halls at the World Artificial Intelligence Conference. They may look very different from each other, but they all share one thing in common.
I'm 32. 28.
These are the founders of nearly 200 AI startups gathered this year. Some are barely out of college. While AI is undeniably the hottest field for entrepreneurship right now, Building a sustainable business is perhaps a tougher challenge, with the new players entering the race almost every day. Investment VP Jason Liu with Eminence Ventures has been awarded at the conference for his foresight in crafting dreams for AI startups.
AI is a pretty affirmative direction or trend that is irreversible. Right? It's like the third, the fourth industrial revolution. It's going to stay across the world, right? In the US, in China, government and all the VCs, all the capitalists have deployed so much capital into this space. That will greatly attract more young, ambitious founders that want to start their own business.
For many of us, AI still means a chat window on the screen. But for these founders, it's about taking AI beyond conversations and transforming many traditional industries. 25-year-old Wang Xingyi explains how she came up with the idea of AI printer.
I personally like to write down my schedules on paper, but when I'm outdoors, I don't usually bring a pen, and I will use my phone as a reminder. Then I realized that in the virtual and real world, people often redo the same thing twice.
27-year-old Cui Jiaxi aims to help content creators better manage large amount of video files.
I filmed myself running by the beach, wearing red from head to toe. I wasn't able to find the clip before, but now I just need to describe some simple keywords, and the AI finds it for me.
With the empowerment of artificial intelligence, the young entrepreneurs believe many industries will be fundamentally different in the future.
Instead of trying on 20 things, you can try on the 2 things that you want. So it is changing how people are shopping because it's reducing and saving time for them, and it's taking the mental load as well.
The value of music industry grew tremendously because of technology. Now with AI, everyone is no longer just an audience, but potentially a creator, and the music industry will be much bigger than now.
But passion isn't enough to keep the lights on. Jason Liu, the investment VP, says on top of demonstrating their prototypes and ideas, it's more important for the young founders to hunt for funding and partners.
This exhibition serves a very special purpose because not only the whole China, right? China investors come gather around, but also global investors are coming. Like, for example, I've got friends flying all the way from the US, right, from Silicon Valley. She just want to see what China AI development looks like.
Behind every booth, here is a founder hoping their product will survive the market. Not every startup will make it to the finish line, but walking through these halls, people might realize it's exactly this new generation's raw passion that is pushing artificial intelligence off the demo stage and into the real, everyday lives. For the Beijing Hour, this is Liu Yunqi.
China's AI medical solutions are also attracting international visitors at the World AI Conference. Wu Bin has more.
Marcin Stanicki is a radiologist from Poland. What he is seeing at this company is an AI agent that allows the detection of up to 74 diseases by just one head MR scan.
I'm the first time on WAIC, and I am deeply impressed by the technology I see here. But I am not only here as a visitor, but also as an advocate for the future of AI in medical training.
The development of AI greatly helps Marcin in daily diagnosis. His medical center has already used equipment and AI software from China.
China is one of the brilliant examples of this transformation and implementation of AI in everyday clinical practice. I'm very, very happy of that, to see that.
The 2026 World Artificial Intelligence Conference is also showcasing a wide range of AI-powered healthcare innovations. One example is a mobile tool that can help detect early signs of Alzheimer's disease by guiding users through a series of simple cognitive tasks on their phones.
We will play 12 words, and you will have to try and remember all the 12 words and repeat them.
This challenge is a bit hard. I can only recall half of the 12 words. What's innovative about this system is that it can use AI to analyze the process, providing a much more complete report than traditional tests. Now, the AI applications from this specific company are used in more than 30 countries and regions around the world.
Let's talk about, let's say, Vietnam, our neighbor. Right, we deployed our AI solutions in some of the leading top-tier hospitals. Let's say they initially can do 60 cardiac CTA scans. With the AI solution, that has been increased to more than 200 CCTA scans being done.
China released an action plan on Friday during the 2026 World Artificial Intelligence Conference to step up international cooperation on artificial intelligence. It says that China will support the capacity building in digital and intelligent capabilities for developing countries and deepen cooperation of AI+, including the medical sector.
That was Ubin reporting. Coming up, the U.S. and Iran trade strikes as mediators try to restart peace negotiations.
Discover the realities and responses to our changing climate with Climate Watch. Uncover critical issues such as the Masai Mara's disrupted wildebeest migration and the drop in the Panama Canal's water levels. Delve into solutions for a sustainable future. Tune in to Climate Watch on your favorite podcast platform. Become more eco-conscious and take action to protect our planet.
Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Esmail Baghaei says Tehran's received proposals from the mediators for the resumption of negotiations with the U.S. and de-escalation of tensions in the region. Meantime, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps of Iran says it's launched 2 separate drone strikes on U.S. military targets in Kuwait. One destroyed a radar warning system, while the other destroyed warehouses storing plane parts and drones at the Ali al-Salam air base. The latest attacks followed the U.S. military's 9th night of strikes on Iranian cities. U.S. Central Command has announced the recent deaths of 2 service members in Jordan and another in Iraq. It's also vowed that strikes will continue to degrade Iranian military capabilities after Iran immobilized 2 oil tankers in the Strait of Hormuz. Owen Fairclough has more from Washington, D.C.
U.S. losses in its conflict with Iran have been compounded this Sunday after the U.S. Central Command confirmed another U.S. military service personnel was killed, this time in northern Iraq, trying to defuse unexploded ordnance from a downed Iranian drone. That follows the deaths of 2 other U.S. military service personnel over the weekend, for which the U.S. has retaliated, escalating its strikes against Iran, with Iran responding in kind, hitting Gulf states, particularly allies of the U.S. that host U.S. military assets. Experts say these 2 sides are now blowing past what were considered red lines by hitting each other's civilian infrastructure. These kinds of targets were considered off limits in the early part of this conflict. There's also Iran is also targeting Jordan, where those 2 U.S. military service members were killed, and that's concerning Israel, complaining and showing concern that Iran is edging ever closer to its territory with these retaliatory strikes. All of this as both sides pass the 30 days of what was supposed to be a 60-day ceasefire as a precursor to a permanent resolution of the conflict between these 2 sides. All of this happening as well as the UN's nuclear watchdog confirms it's investigating that one of those targets was a strike on an unfinished or under construction nuclear site in Iran. This is called the Darkovin or Karun nuclear facility. Now, the UN said in its latest report back in February there was no enriched uranium or no nuclear material stored at this particular site, but also noted its inspectors hadn't been allowed access to audit any kind of enriched uranium at this site. And this cuts, of course, right to the heart of this conflict, with the US long contending that Iran is enriching uranium to develop nuclear weapons, Iran insisting its nuclear program is for civilian purposes only.
That was Owen Fairclough reporting. Iranian Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei says the U.S. violation of the Memorandum of Understanding once again proves that President Donald Trump's signature is worthless. Tensions have escalated between the two over the past week, with renewed attacks and a dispute over the Strait of Hormuz. Iranian media say there is currently 0 traffic through the strait. Saper Saremi has more from Tehran.
The situation in the Strait of Hormuz, the Persian Gulf, is highly charged. And regarding the MOU, I don't want to say it's fragile. I have to say it's dead. The document, the Memorandum of Understanding, which was supposed to kickstart negotiations for the settlement of disputes between Iran and U.S., is now killed. Mojtaba Khamenei, Iran's supreme leader, said that Trump's signature is worthless. And he also recalled that one of the core elements of U.S. foreign policy is bullying. So many things are happening at an unprecedented pace. I had to take notes. I have to mention that 2 ships were involved in an accident and stopped, according to IRGC. Now, it's clear the main point of contention between the U.S. and Iran is the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz. Why? Because Iran has been saying that now the Strait of Hormuz is vital to its national interests. That's the reason why U.S. has been attacking for the last 7 and 8 nights the southern parts of Iran, where Iran exerts its power over the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz. Another thing that should also mention is that 2 drones were shot down by IRGC, according to the IRGC. There has also been mention of U.S. striking Dokhovi nuclear site in south of Iran.
That was Saper Saremi reporting. Negar Mortazavi is a senior fellow at the Center for International Policy and host of the Iran podcast. She says she's optimistic that Iran and the U.S. will return to the negotiating table, even if it could take a while.
I don't think it's completely dead. Of course, the MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding, is somewhat unraveled, but I don't think the door to diplomacy has been completely shut. But at the same time, we're seeing each side trying to stretch the limits of their understanding of whatever was agreed and to be discussed in the future, again, on the battlefield. So I'm expecting that this, potentially can de-escalate and then back to the negotiating table if, that's really what the 2 sides want. Or it could also continue for a while, and then we'll have to see what, the path ahead is going to be. But one thing is clear, that neither side really wants a continuation of the conflict, but then at the same time, each wants to end it on their own terms. They did agree up on that Memorandum of Understanding, but it just wasn't good enough, especially on the President Trump side. I think what he signed and then was very much criticized for essentially prompted him to try to stretch the limits of that on the battlefield in Lebanon, in the Strait of Hormuz. So the Iranian complaint is that the U.S. has been violating terms of the MOU and not really, abiding by it. And then they escalated, the U.S. is escalating. And so now we're sort of back to the hot conflict. I just don't think this is sustainable to continue for a very long time.
That was Negar Mortazavi, a senior fellow at the Center for International Policy and host of the Iran podcast. Fighting between Russia and Ukraine's intensified as the 2 sides traded strikes overnight. Russia battered Kyiv with one of its biggest missile attacks, killing a person and wounding 16 others. Ukraine has struck Russian targets, including 3 oil depots, a fuel facility, and oil tankers. Dasha Chernyshova reports from Moscow.
In Russia's Stavropol region, the industrial object has been hit by the Ukrainian drones this past night, and the media is saying that this object is actually an oil refinery. The local authorities have started evacuations in the region, and we are hearing from Russia that Ukraine is repeatedly targeting this consortium of the Caspian pipeline that is located near the port of Novorossiysk. Actually, Kazakhstan, that is involved into the operations of this enterprise, has been saying that their interests have also been infringed upon. And from the Russian side, we are hearing that the MOD has conducted the acts of retaliation against the Ukrainian acts of terrorism using the high precision weapons and targeting the locations in Ukraine that were involved into the production of the spare parts for the Ukrainian drones and missiles. Now, the MOD is saying that they have been conducting strikes against many other enterprises in Ukraine. Those were the locations where the spare parts for the Ukrainian drones as well as air defense systems have been produced. They say the logistics centers in the Kyiv region has also come under attack, and Russia continues to insist that this is not the end of Russia's strikes against Ukraine. But in the Ukrainian side, we are hearing that more than 40 missiles have been launched from Russia. So obviously, we are seeing the escalation of these conflicts, and this is taking place on both sides. The expectation is that the ongoing strikes will continue.
That was Dasha Chernyshova reporting. Coming up, industrial tourism is a growing segment in China.
You've been listening to programs from CGTN Radio.
CGTN Radio.
We invite you to visit us online for more audio, pictures, and in-depth reports. At radio.cgtn.com, you can access a wide range of programs and find your favorite news, talk, features, entertainment shows, and podcasts. Hear the difference with CGTN Radio.
A factory tour was once simply about watching production lines from a distance. Today, more visitors in China are stepping onto factory floors, making products themselves, and discovering the technology and craftsmanship beyond everyday goods. These experiences are becoming part of a broader trend known as industrial tourism. Zhang Tao has more.
At Zhouyang, a Chinese home appliance maker in Hangzhou, tour guide Cui Jialin is busier than ever. Summer is the peak season for industrial tourism, with more students and family groups visiting factories during school holidays. Today, she is leading more than 30 visitors through a soy milk making activity. But the tour does not begin with the production line. It begins with a stone grinder. Instead of standing on the sidelines, visitors put soybeans into the grinder, turn it by hand, and taste the soy milk they make themselves.
It is actually a very simple action. You just put the beans inside and turn the stone grinder round and round. But because it's so simple, people can easily focus on the process and become immersed. The feeling is very different from ordinary sightseeing.
The activity has become one of Zhouyang's most popular industrial tourism programs. Cui joined the company in 2018. Back then, only a few companies offered factory tours. Today, more manufacturers are opening their doors to visitors. From drone maker DJI and electric vehicle company XPeng to Xiaomi's car factories, more Chinese companies are turning their production sites into places for experience and learning.
Especially in recent years, students and family groups have become more willing to visit factories and experience how products are made.
As demand in China grows for immersive experiences, industrial tourism is gaining momentum. The sector has also received policy support. It was highlighted in China's 15th Five-Year Plan, while 7 government departments, including the Ministry of Culture and Tourism, issued a guideline in May to promote industrial culture, preserve heritage, and expand industrial tourism. 2 years ago, Zhejiang Province established the industrial tourism branch of the Zhejiang Tourism Association. It brings together manufacturers and tourism organizations to advance the sector. Deputy Secretary General Zhang Jiadong says the trend reflects a broader shift in tourism.
Tourism spending is shifting from simply meeting basic needs to seeking emotional value, especially among young consumers. They no longer want to just get on a bus, take photos and leave. They want experiences that create memories.
Compared with global markets, China's industrial tourism sector is still in its early stages. Globally, industrial tourism accounts for around 10 to 15% of tourism revenue, while its share in China remains below 5%. The emerging sector is also creating new opportunities for tour guides. Zhang Xuting entered the tourism industry in 2017 and now works with a Shenzhen-based travel agency. She says leading industrial tours requires a different skill set.
Every factory has different requirements. For example, visitors may need to wear protective clothing or helmets when entering a transparent factory. Guides need to understand these procedures before leading groups.
Finding people who understand tourism and manufacturing remains a challenge. Zhang says many factories know how to make products, while tourism companies know how to serve visitors. The connection between the two still needs to be strengthened.
Manufacturing companies need to better understand tourist needs, while tourism companies need more knowledge about industrial production. Without better cooperation and standards, many valuable industrial resources will remain underdeveloped.
Industrial tourism is still a young industry in China, but as more visitors look for deeper experiences, factories are exploring new ways to connect production with tourism. For the Beijing Hour, this is Zhang Tao.
Shanghai National Park in Shanghai has seen major ecological gains over the past decade. Lakes and grasslands are recovering. A Garing Lake has expanded by 74 square kilometers, and Goring Lake by 117. In Madua County, the number of lakes larger than 1,000 square meters rose from just over 4,000 to nearly 6,000. Liu Zhixiang is a deputy director of the Shanghai National Park Administration. He says restoration combines natural and artificial methods, including grass planting at high altitudes.
Since the pilot program began, we've cumulatively restored about 570,000 hectares of black-soiled lands, desertified land, degraded grasslands, and wetlands.
Since 2016, over 9.5 billion yuan, roughly $1.4 billion has been invested. Vegetation coverage in the Yellow River source now stands at 68.7%, and water conservation capacity is up nearly 22%. Water quality at the heads of the Yangtze, Yellow, and Lancang rivers remains excellent. Andy Burnham becomes the 7th UK Prime Minister in a decade on Monday after Keir Starmer formally steps down. The new Labour Party leaders promise to radically change the country's political system to quickly raise living standards. And Jeff Moody reports from London.
The first thing he does if he wants to hit the ground running is to come up with a plan, because that's something that has, say his critics, been sadly lacking so far. Because of the way in which he's come to power, he hasn't faced a general election for 20-odd years. And, of course, when he became leader of the Labour Party, it was only one person that was there to be considered. So we haven't had that exchange of ideas that you normally get. So a lot of people are saying we don't know what he stands for, and that is what he will have to address immediately. We do, though, have a broad vision for the way he wants to take the country. His big idea of taking power away from Westminster, away from Whitehall, and giving it instead to small communities that have felt forgotten, that have felt a long way away from Whitehall in terms of geography and in terms of politics too. So that's his big idea, but he has at this stage not given us any indication of how exactly he will go about it, and more importantly, how much that will cost. We've been talking to people on the streets today, and generally the feeling is that it's time for a change and all eyes are now on him.
I'm feeling positive about it. Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that we don't know yet, but I think I like that he's taken a different approach, I think, and I think he's got a lot of people behind him for that. Like, I think he's very charismatic.
Keir Starmer did a really good job, but he's not camera facing. He can't get his message across, although what he did was really well done. Andy Burnham seems to be much more camera friendly, and I think that's the world we live in.
So yes, goodwill on the streets of Westminster today, but it is worth saying that a lot of people do say, look, he doesn't have a mandate, we don't know what he stands for, and really we need to get those answers quick. And Andy Burnham will be aware that we have a very, very impatient electorate. They want change, and they want it now.
That was Jeff Moody reporting. At least 6 people were killed and around 30 injured after a 5.5 earthquake struck the Andes in Peru on Saturday night. About 300 people have been displaced. The epicenter was near Siquia at a depth of roughly 10 kilometers. Several buildings collapsed, including a 16th century National Heritage Church. Peruvian Defense Minister Amadeo Flores visited affected areas.
Lamentamos mucho lo ocurrido acá, sobre todo la pérdida de 6 hermanos.
We deeply regret what has happened here, and above all, the loss of 6 brothers who have lost their lives as a result of this tragedy.
Local officials say rustic construction has worsened the damage. Rescue efforts continue as the number of missing people remains unknown. We're at 29 past the hour, checking the forecast ahead of the break. And Beijing will get thunder showers tonight and tomorrow. A low of 22, it's up to 30 on Tuesday. Shanghai will see moderate rainfall this evening. That eases off to light tomorrow. A low of 27 and a high of 32. Chongqing will be clear this evening. Sunshine tomorrow. It's down to 28, a high of 39 for Tuesday. Nanchang will see moderate rainfall tonight and tomorrow. A low of 26 and a high of 30. Lhasa is getting some rainfall tonight. Showers tomorrow. A low of 11 and a high of 24. Elsewhere in Asia, Islamabad will see rainstorms overnight, easing to moderate rain tomorrow. Lows 25, it's up to 30 tomorrow. Vientiane will see a light rainfall tonight, turning to moderate rain, a low of 24 and a high of 30 degrees Celsius. It's time for a short break. So far this hour, the World Artificial Intelligence Conference in Shanghai has seen the release of numerous initiatives in cutting-edge tech. Mediators have offered new proposals to restart peace negotiations between Iran and the U.S. as the two sides continue to attack each other. Chinese factories are becoming destinations for travelers as industrial tourism emerges as a popular option. Shane Bigham with you. Stay with us here on the Beijing Hour.
The transition to a greener future is no longer a distant goal. It's happening now. In power plants, factories, farms, and cities across China. As the world grapples with climate change, energy security, and the growing demand for electricity, China is searching for new ways to cut emissions while keeping its economy moving. Across the country, our reporters visit renewable energy hubs, industrial centers, and agricultural communities to see what that transformation looks like in practice. Through first-hand stories and on-the-ground reporting, we explore the opportunities, the challenges, and the ideas shaping China's green transition. Listen to China's Green Code, Rewriting the Rules of Growth, a special series from Climate Watch, available wherever you get your podcasts.
Examining the events that impact and shape China and the rest of the world. This is the Beijing Hour, 1 hour of news and information brought to you every weekday. Now here's your host,
Shane Bigham with you on this Monday. Still to come. In business, China's industrial output expands as companies adopt artificial intelligence. In sports, Spain takes the crown in a tense World Cup final. In culture and entertainment, a massive global opening in theaters for The Odyssey. To contact us, you can email radio@cgtn.com or follow our X account @CGTNradio. You're also welcome to subscribe to our Substack newsletter, Beyond Beijing, for the world's biggest stories, along with sharp insights and exclusive analysis. First of all, a check of the day's headlines. Thai Prime Minister Anutin Charnvirakul has visited Tiananmen Square in Beijing and laid a wreath at the Monument to the People's Heroes. He's paying an official visit to China until Monday. The Prime Minister also attended the World AI Conference and high-level meeting on global AI governance in Shanghai and visited Sichuan Province. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi will attend the China-ASEAN Foreign Ministers meeting in Manila on Wednesday. He'll then travel to Kyrgyzstan to attend the meeting of the Council of the Ministers of Foreign Affairs of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization member states and visit Kyrgyzstan. A German AI expert, Othine Herzog, has voiced strong support for China's vision of people-centered, positive AI development. Speaking on the sidelines of the World AI Conference in Shanghai, the Chinese Academy of Engineering foreign member praised China's rapid robotics progress, calling it vital for Industry 5.0, which values human-machine collaboration.
Of course, it's very, very interesting to see robots, how they changed within the last 3 to 5 years. Especially here in China. And of course, those robots are very, very important then if you go into what we call Industry 5.0 in the meantime in China.
Herzog said he fully aligns with China's push for shared prosperity and equitable global AI governance. He emphasized his lifelong work on helpful AI systems, saying that make AI for good is a perfect expression.
Throughout my life, I have tried to build, let's say, AI systems which help people, right? So I think that's perfectly in line what I have done all my life, and I would really support that fully. And really make AI for good. I think that's a very good expression.
Conference ran from Friday through Monday and gathered over 100 countries to discuss AI governance. Tens of thousands of Japanese citizens have rallied in front of the National Diet, protesting recent efforts by the government that suggest remilitarization. The efforts include the push to revise the pacifist constitution, ease restrictions on arms exports, and a departure from the 3 non-nuclear principles.
I believe the Takaichi government's push to revise the constitution is aimed at turning Japan into a country that can start wars, that can participate in wars. Moreover, the government is prioritizing military expansion over the livelihood of the people.
The Takaichi government is just doing whatever it wants. It keeps pushing military expansion and constitutional revision without listening to the voices of the people at all. So I hope Takaichi steps down as soon as possible.
A Japanese media poll shows that the approval rating for Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi's cabinet has plunged to a record low of 41%, down 10 points from just last month. The disapproval rating reached 44%, and that was up 9 points. It's the first time the disapproval rating has surpassed support since the cabinet took office in October last year. Italy says its economy could lose between 6 and 12 billion euros, or up to 14 billion US dollars this year, due to a persistent heat wave across Europe. The Italian Confederation of Business, Tourism and Services says 30 to 60 days of continual heat per year would significantly impact productivity and energy costs for businesses. Extreme heat would also affect tourism and commerce. Successive early summer heat waves, which many scientists blame on human-driven climate change, have pushed temperatures to record levels across large areas of Europe. The high temperatures have caused water shortages, crop damage, wildfires, and thousands more deaths than normal. You're listening to the Beijing Hour. Coming up in business, China's industrial output expands as companies adopt artificial intelligence.
The Beijing Hour, your window on China and the rest of the world.
At 36 past the hour. Stock markets on the Chinese mainland closed mixed on Monday. The Shanghai Composite was up almost 0.9%. The Shenzhen Component lost around 0.7%. Oil and gas, exploration, and insurance shares led the gainers. Timothy Pope has more.
The Chinese mainland markets rebound after last week's rout, largely thanks to some signals from the central government and the regulators that they're taking steps to stabilise equities. We also saw state-backed investors reveal some of the buying that they've been doing over the last couple of weeks as well. The Shanghai Composite Index retreated a little bit from intraday highs, but it closed up by a bit less than 1%. There was evidence of some defensive and cyclical rotations by investors. There's money flowing back into utilities, energy and financial stocks, consumer stocks as well.
In Hong Kong, the Hang Seng Index rose almost 2.4%. Japan's Nikkei dropped over 4%. China's industrial output rose 5.4% on a yearly basis in the first half of the year, representing over 35% of the country's economic growth. The Ministry of Industry and Information Technology says AI adoption among large-scale manufacturers has surpassed 30%, and global downloads of Chinese open-source AI models have exceeded 10 billion. Wang Weiming is a chief engineer from the Ministry of Industry and Information Technology.
Exports of integrated circuits, electronic components, and wind power generators surged 88.7%, 62.6%, and 35.6% year-on-year, respectively. Electronics, special-purpose equipment, general-purpose equipment, automobiles, and electrical machinery together contributed more than half of industrial growth, while sectors including integrated circuit manufacturing and electronic specialty materials manufacturing maintained double-digit growth in value-added output.
And meantime, the country has also accelerated the technology services industry loop by releasing over 100 pilot platforms, as well as accrediting 14 premier and 400 standard-level tech business incubators. For more on the latest industrial data, Vivian Nunes spoke with Liu Zhiqi, a senior research fellow with Renmin University of China.
China's industrial output grew as 5.4% in the first half of the year, with AI adoption topping 30% among manufacturers. Is AI helping drive productivity gains then?
Yes, I think the AI technology and the AI equipment now has become the major powerhouse for our economic development, because in the past days we see the greater increase and improvement in the industrial and the manufacturing sections. As we know that the AI team or AI technology can help people search, research, orchestrate, and even complete the job for you or on your behalf. It can really greatly improve this efficiency and the quality of control. We know that a good summary of the historical experience and knowledge for the engineers today And the second is very important that to make a good proposal for your future job for continued sustainable development. And the third is very important, is also very helpful that to make a right decision to avoid any possible mistake or any possible risk. So the AI technology really help the people, help the industry to increase and improve the productivity and also the quality of the production.
That was Senior Research Fellow Liu Zhiqin talking about China's industrial output. Well, China will prioritize the planning and construction of next-generation communication networks as a key driver for the information and communications sector. The Ministry of Industry and Information Technology outlines several major focuses, including accelerating more advanced network deployment and expanding application innovation in key industries. The country aims to strengthen industrial support through core technology breakthroughs in 6G, ultra-high-speed optical communications, and satellite communications. It also aims to deepen 5G and gigabit optical network use in key industries and promote integrated development of embodied intelligence and connected vehicles. By the end of June, the number of 5G base stations across China had exceeded 5.1 million. The country has been piloting advanced 5G and optical networks in factories and industrial parks. 5G and gigabit optical network applications have been integrated into 94 major sectors of the national economy. More than 26,000 5G plus industrial internet projects are under construction nationwide. China's one-year loan prime rate, a market-based benchmark lending rate, came in at 3% on Monday, unchanged from the previous month. According to the National Interbank Funding Center, the over 5-year LPR, on which many lenders base their mortgage rates, also remained unchanged from the previous reading of 3.5%. The two LPRs have remained unchanged for 14 months now. In June, the weighted average interest rate for new corporate loans was around 3%, about 20 basis points lower than a year earlier. The weighted average interest rate for new personal housing loans was around 3.1% and essentially unchanged. China's job market remains stable in the first half of the year, with emerging industries driving the creation of new professions and becoming fresh growth drivers for employment. Over the past 5 years, the Ministry of Human Resources and Social Security has introduced more than 20 new occupations related to artificial intelligence, with over 40% directly aligned with future-oriented industries. This year, the ministry plans to add 12 new job titles, including embodied intelligence robot application technicians and intelligent agent developers. Now, meantime, the AI industry witnessed explosive growth in recruitment during the first half of the year. The number of hiring companies rose around 25% on a yearly basis, and job openings increased 10.6%. Demand for AI engineers significantly outpaced supply, with the demand-to-supply ratio surpassing 2 to 6. The demand for AI agent developers skyrocketed by 244% compared to the same period of last year. In Xinjiang's Shacha County, a quiet agricultural revolution is unfolding. Almonds are sparking interest online. Melons are pre-sold before they're even picked, and marigolds are being transformed into high-value extracts, all thanks to smarter agriculture, live stream e-commerce, and integrated supply chains. As a result, rural incomes are rising, and a revitalization model is firmly taking root. Wu Haojun has a story.
It's peak harvest season, and the air is thick with the rustle of leaves and the hum of activity. Farmers are racing against the clock to bring in this year's crop of green-shelled almonds. Thanks to a digital revolution, they're in hot demand across the country.
This year, our almonds are bigger, plumper, and better quality than ever. They're our family's money tree, literally.
The real game changer is live streaming. At the cooperative sorting facility, workers grade each nut by size and color. Just a few meters away, employee is broadcasting live from the orchard itself.
Orders keep pouring in, 300 to 500 packages a day. Viewers from other provinces love the authentic, just-picked look.
Thanks to this dual-channel approach, offline bulk sales plus online live streaming, farmers no longer worry about finding buyers. Meanwhile, just 70 kilometers away, another harvest is reaching its sweet peak. Vast fields of glossy, sun-kissed melons stretch to the horizon. And this year, farmer bet big on 200 acres with 8 different varieties. It's paying off handsomely.
My income has climbed every single year. These melons, they're my sweet fortune. Life just keeps getting better.
With BRICS levels hitting 19, on par with premium lychees, melons draw traders who book plots before they're even ripe. Local agronomists have refined the melon variety, boosting sweetness and resilience.
We're working with local authorities to expand specialty melon acreage, introduce better seeds, and improve cultivation techniques. And it's becoming a powerful engine for rural income growth.
But the most dazzling success is in its marigold fields. Over 6,700 hectares of golden blossoms ripple in the wind, each flower a tiny paycheck. Farmer Maimaiti Mamuti has already finished his first flush on just over 2 hectares, cash in hand at the village collection point.
We can harvest 6 to 7 times from June through October. Every time we get paid on the spot. It's steady, reliable income.
The magic lies in the chain. Tech Center's Guide Planting, a biotech group, runs collection points across every township, and the same company processes flowers into high-value extracts for dyes, pharmaceuticals, and cosmetics.
We're deepening our contract farming model, expanding collection stations, and upgrading our local processing lines. The goal is simple: turn every flower into maximum value right here, so farmers benefit at every link.
From almonds and melons to marigolds, local farmers have built a tech-driven agricultural ecosystem. This county embodies China's broader push for value-added agriculture and digital connectivity, a future that is green, golden, and sweet. And rural revitalization is not a catchphrase, but a harvest in full bloom.
That was Wu Haojun reporting. You're listening to the Beijing Hour, and coming up in sports, Spain takes the crown in a tense World Cup final.
Sideline Story brings you all things sports related. The hottest topics, latest events, juiciest stories, all with a very personal take. Subscribe to Sideline Story Podcast for heated sports discussions covering events that are happening in China and around the world.
In sports now, Spain has won its second FIFA World Cup title after beating defending champions Argentina 1-0 in the final at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. The tournament's first 48-team edition saw Spain claim their second world crown 16 years after the first triumph in 2010. Argentina missed the chance to become the first back-to-back champion since Brazil in 1958 and 62. Substitute Ferran Torres scored the decisive goal early in the second period of extra time, securing victory for Spain after a tightly contested final. Spain goalkeeper Unai Simon said lifting the World Cup was a special achievement.
This can be compared to the Euros, which is something historic. It cannot be compared to the Nations League, which is also spectacular, because winning a World Cup is unique. Like I said, we had to wait 16 years, but for now, I think we just need to enjoy it and be fully aware of what we've accomplished.
Argentina coach Lionel Scaloni congratulated Spain after his team's loss, while thanking his players and supporters for their efforts throughout the tournament.
What can I say? We're sad because we weren't able to bring home the trophy. My deepest thanks to everyone, to all the fans and all the people who carried us today. Whatever little strength we had left, they gave us that strength and pushed us to keep fighting until the very end, with the match still open, but it wasn't to be. They were deserved winners. That's the reality. We have to acknowledge that. And honestly, we came very close. All that's left is to thank my players and everyone who lent a huge helping hand so we could reach another World Cup final.
Spain midfielder Rodrigo won the Golden Ball as the tournament's best player. Goalkeeper Unai Simon took the Golden Glove, and 19-year-old defender Pau Caparsi was named the best young player. And for more now, we have Yang Guang in studio. So Argentina managed just 2 shots and a mere 35% possession in the final. So what do these stats reveal about the game?
Right, the scoreboard might read a narrow 1-0 win in extra time, but play by play this was anything but close. Spain completely dictated the tempo from the very first whistle. Their iron grip on the midfield allowed them to control the pace. They never rushed, patiently building their attacks pass by pass from the center of the park. And crucially, the moment they lost possession, they swarmed instantly with a ferocious high press, forcing Argentina into hurried long balls from the back, which is simply not their game, and posed zero threats. Argentina's attacks were fragmented and rarely even reached Spain's final third. They were utterly suffocated with no real hope of fighting back. Then Enzo Fernandez's red card only made things worse. Down to 10 men, Argentina had no choice but to camp deep into their own half. At that point, it felt like Spain's breakthrough was purely a matter of when, not if.
All right, this was the first ever 48-team World Cup, and it's now wrapped up. We've seen the shocking upsets along the way, the group stage calculations, and, of course, the marathon schedule. Looking back at the whole tournament, how will history remember this expansion?
Well, the first 48-team World Cup was a tournament of stark contrasts. On the plus side, expansion gave debutants like Cape Verde, countries who would have never had little chance of reaching this stage, a historic platform to shine. We also witnessed a record-breaking goal tally, complete with sensational upsets and dramatic late winners, generating narratives that previous tournaments couldn't match yet. The new format came with clear trade-offs, with 8 best third-place teams advancing. Group stage tension often felt diluted, replaced by cautious, calculated matches where sides played for safe passage rather than all-out victory. Eventually, only one of the 8 best third-place teams progressed into the last 16. Meantime, semi-finals were again dominated by the world's traditional top 4 powers, proving that the elite order remains intact. While the expanded tournament offered more global representation and memorable underdog stories, it also raised questions about competitive integrity and match quality. Nevertheless, on balance, this experiment lands a successful launch, and I believe 2026 will go down as the start of a new World Cup era.
All right, thank you very much. That was Yang Guang with some World Cup final analysis. And Spain fans have taken to the streets of Madrid to celebrate the national team's second World Cup title. The Spanish capital erupted in celebration as flares lit up the sky, and thousands of supporters gathered at iconic locations. Now, fans from across the country and overseas joined the celebrations after Ferran Torres scored that extra time winner. The celebrations continued through the night as supporters honored a historic achievement for Spanish football. You're listening to the Beijing Hour. Coming up in culture and entertainment, a massive global opening in theaters for The Odyssey.
From north to south, east to west, people in China are chasing their dreams and leaving their mark. Want to know how they beat the odds and made a difference? Footprints brings you the true life stories of their journeys.
52 past the hour. In culture and entertainment, Christopher Nolan's epic action film The Odyssey has topped the North American box office in its opening weekend, earning $124.5 million. The Universal Pictures release also brought in nearly $140 million overseas, pushing its estimated global debut to $264 million. Based on Homer's ancient Greek epic, the film stars Matt Damon as Odysseus and follows the legendary king's dangerous journey home after the Trojan War. It's received strong reviews from critics and audiences, becoming the highest-rated film of Nolan's career. Disney's live-action musical adventure Mona ranked second with $19 million in its second weekend, while Universal and Illumination's animated comedy Minions and Monsters came in third with $14.8 million. China's box office revenue for this year has topped 20 billion yuan, over $2.9 billion with the summer movie season driving strong market growth. Industry data shows that domestic racing comedy Pegasus 3, family drama Dear You, and action film Blades of the Guardians, Wind Rises in the Desert are currently leading the box office rankings. Nearly 90 Chinese and foreign films are expected during the summer season, covering genres including comedy, history, science fiction, and animation. Among the stand-up performers, Hong Kong director Stephen Chow's Kung Fu Soccer has surpassed 1.3 billion yuan at the box office, while animated feature All Wishes Come True has earned more than 200 million yuan. Meantime, industry observers say a deeper transformation is underway as China's summer movie season is entering its busiest weeks. Yu Han-yi has more.
For millions of Chinese moviegoers, summer means one thing: heading to the cinema. This year's summer box office has already surpassed 3 billion yuan, with domestic productions leading ticket sales.
One of this summer's biggest features is the diversity of films on offer, from animation and mainstream blockbusters to family dramas and workplace stories. Audiences have more choices than ever before.
More choices, however, also mean greater competition, with dozens of new releases competing for attention. Standing out has become increasingly difficult.
Lately, I've been looking forward to All Wishes Come True.
I'm excited about Once Upon a Time in the Middle East.
While the season got off to a relatively slow start, industry insiders believe the market is only beginning to pick up pace.
The slow start to this year's summer season is largely due to a lack of a breakout blockbuster, but several highly anticipated films are set to open later in July. Last year's summer box office reached nearly 12 billion yuan, and we're optimistic this year's total could surpass that.
But perhaps the biggest change is not which films people watch, it's how they choose them. Increasingly, the film itself has become its strongest recommendation. As streaming platforms continue to offer greater convenience at home, cinemas are working to provide something audiences can't get elsewhere: an experience, not just a screening.
We've launched a super entertainment season featuring films, gaming, and popular IPs. From special format screenings to themed pop-up events, we're creating a more integrated experience that combines movies, entertainment, and family activities, while continuing to improve our services so every visitor enjoys a high-quality cinema experience.
Both cinema operators and industry observers point to the same trend. Audiences are placing greater value on meaningful stories than visual spectacle alone.
That was Yu Han-yi reporting. A national showcase of Chinese folk orchestral music has opened in Ordos, Inner Mongolia, highlighting the evolution of contemporary composition inspired by traditional Chinese music. Titled Symphony of the Times, the event features 14 performances by 11 national folk orchestras and 32 folk music ensembles. The opening concert combined traditional Chinese instruments with modern themes, presenting the country's contemporary journey through large-scale folk orchestral works. Liu Chung from the Ordos Bureau of Culture and Tourism said organizers are also holding industry seminars and public concerts to promote cultural exchanges.
We want to ensure that audiences who cannot attend in person can also share in this national music festival, so as to enable art and culture to benefit the people and make them accessible to the general public.
Well, the event runs through July 27th. 57 past the hour, Beijing expecting thunder showers overnight and through tomorrow. It's down to 22 this evening, 30 degrees for the high on Tuesday. Shanghai will see moderate rainfall tonight. That eases off to light rain tomorrow. A low of 27 and a high of 32. Chongqing is getting clear skies this evening and sunshine tomorrow, a low of 28 and a high of 39 degrees. Nanchang will see moderate rainfall overnight and through tomorrow, a low of 26 and a high of 30. And that's it for this edition of the Beijing Hour. Making news today, the World Artificial Intelligence Conference in Shanghai has seen the release of numerous initiatives and cutting-edge technology. Mediators have offered new proposals to restart peace negotiations between Iran and the U.S. as the two sides continue to attack each other. On behalf of the staff, Shane Bigham in the Chinese capital, hoping you'll join us for the next edition of the Beijing Hour and open a window to the world together.
The best military commander is not he who fights 100 battles and wins every one of them. The best military strategy does not lead to the desiccation of the enemy's capital city. Decoding the Art of War will help you understand why there's no art in war and how Sun Tzu stayed undefeatable using the science of war, with fun stories and insightful breakdown of famous battles. Find Decoding the Art of War wherever you listen.
A poem for the Tibetan antelope, the gentle spirit of the Shanghai Seazon Plateau, spoken by voices from across the world. Every spring, female antelopes migrate hundreds of miles to Zhuonai Lake to give birth, as we build gentle passages for their journey.
Hello, little Tibetan antelope. Eyes opening to the light for the very first time.
To see a world in a grain of sand, and a heaven in a wild flower.
So much wonder calls for so much courage. But have no fear. The way home is right there, waiting for you.
From the snows of Kunlun to the winds of Tangula, the wilderness will teach me to be strong.
But the call of life itself never ceases.
A train runs toward the horizon. A road stretches through the wilderness.
The bridge that soars through the clouds is no barrier across the land, but a gateway to where I truly belong.
Tibetan antelope's hoofprints loosen the soil, letting snow melt sink into the earth.
Human presence passes through,
but we've never walked this land alone.